All right, welcome. You ever stop and think about what actually happens when you hit send on an email or save something to the cloud? Well, today we're going to go on a little adventure. A high-speed chase, really. We're going to follow a single piece of data as it just zips across the entire planet in literally the blink of an eye. And along the way, we'll uncover all the digital locks, the armored trucks, and even the master locksmiths that are protecting it. So let me just start by asking you a question. Where is your data right now? And I mean right now, this exact second. Is it on your phone? Maybe in a data center just down the street? Or is it, I don't know, zipping through some undersea cable on its way to a server halfway around the world? Well, the truth is, that was kind of a trick question. See, in today's digital world, your data is probably in all of those places, pretty much at the same time. It's constantly moving, it's being copied, analyzed, stored, all across this huge interconnected landscape. And that right there is what makes securing it so challenging, but also so incredibly cool.
Okay, so to really get a grip on our data's journey, we first have to understand the world it lives in. And believe me, that world is made of many, many clouds. Think of it like this. Maybe a decade ago, a company would do all its shopping at one big department store. You know, like, say, Amazon Web Services. But today, that's actually pretty rare. Most companies now are in what we call a multi-cloud environment. They're more like savvy shoppers, right? They're picking the absolute best services from all different providers. They might get their storage from AWS, grab their data analytics from Google Cloud, and then use AI tools from Microsoft Azure. It's all mixed and matched.
And what's really fascinating here is that this isn't some niche thing. It's the norm. This whole multi-cloud approach, it gives businesses this incredible power and flexibility. But, and this is a big but, it also creates a massive challenge. I mean, how on earth do you secure one single piece of data when it's scattered across a bunch of different independent digital fortresses? Well, to answer that, we've got to look at the basic tools of the trade for digital security. It's best to think of it as this really sophisticated system of locks and keys. And it's all built on one single core principle: encryption. Okay, first up, we've got data at rest. This is exactly what it sounds like. Data that's just sitting there, stored in a database somewhere. To protect it, we use something called encryption at rest. And the best analogy for this is locking that data inside a totally unbreakable digital suitcase. Even if a thief somehow manages to run off with a suitcase, there's no way they're opening it to see what's inside. But what happens when that suitcase has to go somewhere? That's where encryption in transit comes into play. This is what protects your data while it's on the move, while it's traveling from one place to another. Let's say from a server in Europe all the way to one in the US. It's basically the equivalent of taking that unbreakable suitcase and putting it inside a secure armored convoy for the entire trip. So, okay, we've got our unbreakable suitcases, we've got our armored convoys. Sounds pretty good, right? But with data spread across all these different clouds, you suddenly have hundreds, maybe thousands of these locks and keys. You got to have a way to manage all of that. You need a master locksmith. And right there, that is the central problem of multi-cloud security. I mean, every single time data is stored or moved, a new key might get created. Trying to manage all that by hand? Forget it. It would be absolute chaos. So how do they do it? The answer is a piece of tech called a key management service, or KMS for short. And this is our master locksmith. It's a centralized service that handles, well, everything. It creates the keys, it stores them super securely, and, this is the most important part, it controls exactly who gets to use them and when. Now, under the hood, these services are often built on some really specialized, tamper-proof hardware called hardware security modules, or HSMs. You can just think of those as basically digital vaults for the keys themselves. It's what brings order to all that chaos. And hey, this isn't just some abstract idea. As you can see, all the big cloud players have their own versions of this master locksmith. Amazon's got AWS KMS, Microsoft has Azure Key Vault, and Google's is called Cloud KMS. These things really are the unsung heroes of the internet, just working silently in the background, forming the absolute bedrock of cloud security. All right, now that we've got the scene set, this multi-cloud world, and we've got our tools, the locks, the keys, and our master locksmith, let's put it all together. Let's watch them in action by following one little piece of data on its journey. So just imagine a piece of customer data, okay? It starts its life just sitting in a database that's hosted on, let's call it Cloud A. But our company, they want to use this really powerful analytics tool that only runs on Cloud B. Well, that means our little piece of data has to make a trip. And this journey has three main stages, which you can see right here. First, it's stored safely. Second, it's transferred securely. And third, it's unlocked so it can actually be used. And our master locksmith, that KMS, is going to be watching over every single step. So stage one, our data is just sitting there in that database on Cloud A at rest. The KMS has already made sure this data is encrypted, locked up tight in its unbreakable suitcase. It is completely unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the right key, period. Then comes stage two, the journey itself. So Cloud B requests the data. The KMS steps in and orchestrates this whole secure handoff. It makes sure that the data is wrapped up in encryption in transit. That's our armored convoy, as it travels across the wild open internet, all the way from Cloud A's data center to Cloud B's. And finally, stage three, the data has arrived, safe and sound, in Cloud B. The analytics tool says, hey, I need to read this data. It pings our master locksmith, the KMS. The KMS looks at the request, checks if the tool is actually allowed to see the data, and if everything checks out, boom, it securely provides the key. The suitcase gets unlocked, the data is analyzed, and this is key, the second that analysis is done, it's locked right back up again. So that whole journey, it sounds pretty perfect, right? It's secure, it's seamless, it's all controlled. But this is where things get complicated. The technology, it works beautifully, but it forces us to face some really big questions. Questions about trust, control, and even the law. And this brings us to a really crucial point. Who actually holds the keys to the kingdom? I mean, on one hand, you could just let the cloud provider manage them for you. It's easy, it's convenient. But on the other hand, if you're a company dealing with, say, super sensitive financial data or secret intellectual property, you might want the ultimate level of security. You can actually choose to control your own keys, which means the cloud provider can never access your data, ever, no matter what. It's a huge business decision. You're trading more cost and complexity for absolute total control. And there's another giant question looming. Was that little journey even legal? You've got all these data protection laws, right? Like GDPR for consumer privacy in Europe or HIPAA for healthcare in the US. They have really strict rules about where data can physically go. So moving European customer data to a server in the United States, even just for a split second to analyze it, could have massive, massive legal consequences if it's not handled perfectly.
This is the stuff that literally keeps cloud architects up at night. It's not just the nitty-gritty technical details. It's these two huge issues. Who truly owns and controls the encryption keys? And how in the world do you make sure every single data movement complies with this tangled web of international laws? And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world where data can literally circle the globe in the blink of an eye, we've built some absolutely incredible technology to protect it on its journey. But the tech alone, it can't answer the biggest question of all. Who should we trust to be its ultimate guardian? Should it be you, your company, or the giant platforms that power our entire digital world?